Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the DBE Edge Training webinar. My name is Mike Fitch with the Ohio LTAP Center here at ODOT, and we appreciate your participation. As we get started, please take a moment to locate the questions box in the GoToWebinar panel. During the presentation today, please use the questions box to send in any questions you might have. With that, we will go ahead and turn things over to Jolita Stoltz. Hello.
Hi, Mike. Thank you.
Yep.
Hello, everyone. As Mike said, I'm Jolita Stoltz. I am the Southwest Ohio Outreach Manager for ODOT, and I'm here today to talk about the DBE Edge Development Goal updates. One second. There we go. I work under the Division of Opportunity, Diversity, and Inclusion, and we took the lead on the updates for this program. If you're not familiar, this division is made up of 3 offices. We have the Office of Business and Economic Opportunity, led by Deborah Green. Her office oversees basically all things related to the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise and Small Business Enterprise program, including the certifications, reporting, supportive services, as well as on-the-job training and ADA. We also have the Office of Contractor Compliance. Those are the folks that you see out in the field, making sure that DBEs are paid properly, that they're performing commercially useful function, that all contractors are submitting certified payroll and paying everyone correctly. And they also have Title VI under their office at this moment. And lastly is the Office of Outreach, and that's where my position lies. Deborah Green is also the acting administrator of our office at this time. We are essentially a statewide regional district, DBE, SBE, MBE, EDGE, all the different acronyms, resources. We consider ourselves a liaison to the business community. We're here to help with all things of doing business with ODOT or certification related. We can help connect you with ODOT staff, help you make connections properly. We hold a lot of webinars, workshops, and events. And more recently, we have started working a little bit more in the workforce diversity and inclusion for the industry. Here is a copy of our outreach map. You can see me down in the bottom. I cover districts 7, 8, and 9, which is essentially the Dayton, Cincinnati, Chillicothe region. We also have 2 other outreach managers. We have Lisa Washington. She covers District 1, 2, and 3. And then we have Lynn Stevens. She is our Central Ohio Outreach Manager in Southeast. She covers Districts 5, 6, and 10. And in the interim is also acting as the Northeast Ohio Outreach Manager, since we do have a vacancy. But together we're all trying to cover that area of the state. So if you're in Northeast Ohio, feel free to reach out to any of us at any time with any questions that you may have. We are currently replacing that position, and we hope to have somebody on board in the next few months. Before we dive into the updates to the program, I wanted to make sure that everyone is aware of what DBE and EDGE is. So the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, which you'll hear me refer to as DBE throughout the presentation, and then the Encouraging Diversity, Growth, and Equity, which we know as EDGE, are certification programs for businesses that are owned and managed by socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. The DBE program is administered by ODOT, and the EDGE program is administered by the Department of Administrative Services, but soon they'll be moving to the Development Service Agency. I'm not going to get into a lot of details on what it means to be a DBE or EDGE, but I just wanted to give you a little basic overview. A DBE, essentially the socially and economically disadvantaged owners have to hold at least 51% ownership in the DBE applicant firm, and the socially and economically disadvantaged owner has to manage and control the DBE firm. To be considered socially and economically disadvantaged, there are presumed groups that if you fall in, you're automatically assumed to be socially disadvantaged. That would be a woman and several minority groups, including African American, Hispanic, Native American, and there's a couple other. Additionally, if you're not in a presumed group, you can write a narrative on why you are socially disadvantaged and prove to the certifying agent that you are actually socially disadvantaged based on a factor beyond your control that has led you to face discrimination in areas such as equal access to education, financing for your business, contracting for your business, and things of that nature. Economic disadvantage, that's kind of related to the personal net worth. For a DBE, the net worth has to be less than 1.32 million, excluding your primary residence, as well as the equity in the business. And the company also has to be a small business that's defined by SBA standards. It comes down to the next code that the company is certified in, but we do have a 3-year average annual gross receipts cap of 26.29 million to qualify for DBE certification, but some next codes are lower, such as engineering, which caps at 16.5 million. And the company also has to be an independent business. For the EDGE program, a business may qualify if the owner is both socially and economically disadvantaged, or the business is located in a qualified census tract and the owner is economically disadvantaged. In this program, the personal net worth is $750,000. The company does have to be in business for at least 1 year prior to applying, unlike the DBE program where you can apply at any time. And the fair market value of assets has to be less than $4 million. So before we get into the updates, just some background on the Development Goal Program. In 2015, a group of individuals from ODOT went around the state holding town halls to listen to our certified firms on any issues that they're having, feedback, things of that nature. And out of those meetings, they formed a small business committee for the consultant services industry. That committee got together and they developed what we call the Development Goal Program. And we had our first project in September of 2015. Since then, we've had approximately 70 development goal projects. For the current state of the program, since several years have passed, we decided it was a good time to reevaluate the program and make sure that we're getting the desired outcome. So we did make some changes to the program. We are holding trainings for consistency and understanding across the districts. We already have done that. This is our last training for the industry, and the changes are going to take place with the September programmatic. The updates to the manual has already been published, and we've just got a few last things to get out there, but for sure we are on track for this to be implemented with the September program. As we reviewed the program, we analyzed data from all the awarded projects. We also had several conversations among ourselves on different maybe issues that we've seen or where we think that we can strengthen the program. And we also put out a survey to prime and certified firms that have participated in the program. We had a contact for each prime and each sub that were on those projects, and those are the ones that received the survey. No one received the survey that had not been a part of a project. Out of that survey and our discussion, we really came up with 5 bullet points that we needed to look at. First was the overutilization of the same certified firms across several projects. The second was the development criteria and methodology for scoring. We also needed to look at reporting, the funding, and the type of projects. And our next few slides will go through each of those. So while meeting with our small working group and our small business committee, we had a lot of conversations about the ultimate goal of the program. And what really came out of that is both growing established firms and allowing opportunities for new firms are valuable goals of the program. We did find there is some overutilization within the program, and we needed to find unique ways to address that. So we're trying to use verbiage in our scoring. We are creating an FAQ document and of course these trainings to help encourage the utilization of new firms. think it's really important to point out that firms are not going to be penalized for bringing in a new firm on board that the districts are not familiar with. I know sometimes that might be a concern with your scoring, but that is one of the valuable goals of this program, is introducing new companies. So it is actually encouraged that you do so. We're also going to be using tracking and reporting to ensure that firms are actually making progress and not duplicating training on information they're proficient with. So if we have firms that are across multiple projects, but they are making progress, then that is very good outcome of the program. We want to see that. For the scoring, we did not change the number of points. It will still be 5 points in the total score, up to 5 points, and the firm will have to submit a one-page description describing the expected outcomes of the efforts of the consultant and certified sub-consultant to assist that certified firm in achieving the goal of eventual self-sufficiency with the letter. As the program is right now, we had 4 criteria for scoring. That was improving long-term development, increasing the ability to participate in a variety of kinds of work, including pre-qualification and new categories, and handle increasingly significant projects, developing their capability to utilize emerging technology and conduct business through electronic media, and achieving self-sufficiency. We are removing achieving self-sufficiency from the scoring criteria, but it is now noted as an overarching goal of the program. So the ultimate goal of the program is to help these certified firms achieve self-sufficiency. We are also defining the criteria with examples, which I'll go into next. And then instead of increasing or decreasing the number of points, like I said, it's staying at 5, but we have adjusted the scoring methodology. This is the new language that will be included in all future programmatics. We are now asking that the description clearly address each of the following topics. The highlighted text is what is new. So we're asking improving long-term development by providing exposure and training to the firm in areas that will assist them in being better able to compete as a sub or prime consultant. This may include trainings on ODOT processes and procedures or improving internal business practices. The second category, it stayed the same. It's pretty self-explanatory, helping achieve pre-qualification or increasingly significant projects. And then last is the developing capability to utilize emerging technology. And we added, which may include navigating ODOT allocated software, industry recognized software, or conducting business through electronic media. We also, I think one of the more significant changes to the program is going to be the scoring. As you can see, for 5 points, what's highlighted is what we've changed. So to score 5 points, which is the maximum, the expected outcome and plan for achieving them will provide an opportunity for the DBE or EDGE firm to significantly improve in all 3 objectives, which support the overall purpose of achieving self-sufficiency. An improvement must be measurable in at least 2 of the 3 objectives and clearly defined in the LOI. So in this case, now we want to see how we can measure the progress of a firm, and it is up to the certified firm and the prime to lay that out in the letter of interest so that we know that it's measurable. And I will be giving some examples of what we're talking about here in a minute. For 4 points, we are still asking that the firm significantly, or you show that they will significantly improve in all 3 objectives. And in this case, the improvement has to be measurable and clearly defined for at least one of the objectives. We did not change the scoring for 3 points, 2 points, or 1 point. For 3 points, the expected outcome and plan for achieving them will provide an opportunity for the DBE or EDGE firm to significantly improve in at least 2 objectives. For 2 points, they need to improve in at least one objective, and then essentially for 1 point, they receive some workload, but there is not any opportunities for them to improve their skills or capabilities outside of that. What does a good approach look like? First of all, your project approach should not be continued on to the development goal extra page, and that will be outlined in the FAQ document as well. You should devote that page to your development goal write-up. We also ask that each of those 3 scoring categories be addressed individually so it's clear to those that are scoring your LOI that you hit all the points, what goals you're aligning with each of the categories, and it just makes it a little bit cleaner for us to review. We also encourage you to ensure that you're clear on the activities for each area of the scoring. So don't be generic, be very specific on what you plan to do to help the company achieve that specific goal, such as long-term development. It is also highly encouraged that a firm only develop 1 certified firm per project because there is a limited amount of money and we do want to see significant improvement in a firm. It's much easier to see significant improvement if you're only focusing on 1 company at a time. So what does it mean to significantly improve? We are unable to give a firm definition of significant improvement because it can vary from firm to firm. Essentially, it means that improvement will have an impact on the firm's ability to grow and succeed as a business. An example or what that would look like would be a certified firm completes a consultant process with oversight from the prime, which will then allow them to repeat this process independently. What's not significant? Pretty straightforward, not impactful on the firm's growth or success, only learning an insignificant skill. But I do want to reiterate, what is considered significant for a new firm may not be considered significant for an experienced firm. So it all depends on their level of experience with the department. Here are some examples of items that we've seen in other letters of interest that we considered significant. Providing guidance to lead the development of the firm's use of the scoping and fee development on SAFE system, ODOT invoicing forms, ELLIS system, SharePoint, project management skills such as scheduling and plan development process. By the end of the project, showing progress and proficiency with utilization of ODOT's TIM system, Open Road Designer, per the latest standards. MicroStation is another example, but we also have back office assistants, like assisting with their accounting understanding, their HR systems or payroll systems. And so on our last training, we did have some questions about that. We know that the development may not always be perfectly tied into the work on the project, but we're taking a more holistic approach. There are a lot of things that a firm under the long-term development category may need assistance with that is going to help them achieve eventual self-sufficiency. You know, it may be directly ODOT related. I'll give some examples here in a minute of like the invoicing, how to do things the ODOT way. But there also may be some of that back office stuff that they need in order to be successful as a firm. So for measurable, it can be quantitative or qualitative, but the LOI must include specifics on how ODOT will be able to review and determine successful completion of the goals. I'm giving examples for each of the 3 categories. So for improving long-term development, an example of measurable success would be that the DBE or Edge firm is being mentored on how to write a successful letter of interest. The measurable part would be that the firm will submit at least 1 LOI, could be more, in a future programmatic within 1 year. Another example is that the firm is being mentored on marketing their company to ODOT. To measure success, the firm will have developed proper marketing materials and scheduled, carried out meet and greets with 3 district offices by the end of the project. Feedback will be obtained from the district staff, documented, and implemented for future marketing. So that's another example of a way that we can measure success. And that would also fit under long-term development, because marketing your firm to company, or marketing your company to ODOT, is a key aspect of gaining experience and submitting as a prime and things like that. For pre-qualification, or the ability to handle increasingly significant projects, the first example is pretty straightforward. The firm will apply or have received pre-qualification by the end of the project. However, we know that that's not always possible with just one project. So another example would be that a firm will not be ready to apply for pre-qualification, but will obtain experience designing 2 single-span concrete slab bridges, which will count toward the 3 needed for pre-qualification. So in that case, we can measure that they've got the experience for 2, but they're just not quite there yet for pre-qualification. An example for the ability to handle increasingly significant projects would be that the certified firm has never held a task order contract. So they're going to prime the project with the company performing the development as their sub. The prime will monitor, mentor, and advise through the life of the task order, and the certified firm will successfully complete the project management aspects by the project end. Lastly would be developing capability to utilize emerging technology. In this case, it is stated that a member of the DBE or EDGE firm will train another staff member on a software with minimum oversight from the prime consultant after receiving their initial training, which will be documented in the final development goal report. This is both measurable and significant, because you've then passed on a skill to the certified firm that will remain with the firm because they can cross-train other staff members. Example of a more qualitative approach would that the staff will affirm that they feel proficient in the software and no additional training would be needed. So in that case, with our reporting, we would, check mark. They said no additional training would be needed. Now, if down the road in an LOI they're getting more training, we would probably not consider that significant at that point, and they would not receive points on a future project for it. We also looked at project selection. It came up a little bit about task orders. So we decided that we would continue on specialized task orders, like environmental task orders, to have development goals, but general engineering service task orders will not be or should not be considered, because they're too general to be able to create a plan and carry it out. And then for construction inspection projects or task orders, we're not really looking to select those at this time. We are encouraging the utilization of ODOT's intern program to train inspectors. As of right now, the funding structure is going to remain the same. So for those projects that have a fee agreement for less than $150,000, we would provide up to $7,500 for the training of the certified firm. For those that are between $150,000 and $300,000, it is 5% of the total estimated fee. And then greater than $300,000 would be $15,000 maximum that we would provide you to provide that training and assistance. We do plan to reevaluate this once more data is collected. We have received or saw kind of mixed feedback on this, so we want to ensure that with our reporting that we're monitoring exactly how much money is being spent, and is it being spent properly on the time spent training. So we've had some cases where toward the end of the project, maybe the money hasn't been spent and they're coming to us asking for unique ways to spend the money. And then of course we have others where the prime say they've worked much longer and provided way more support to the firm than that max $15,000. So we will be looking at that again once we have more information. It's important to point out that fee is available for training and assistance, and it should be used for time spent on development tasks. It should not be spent for time working on the project. And if there is a special request or anything like that, we do want that up front. We are now asking for the anticipated use of the development goal funds to be required with our new initial documentation, which I'll get to here shortly. All right, so one of the other major changes is a more hands-on reporting and monitoring of the program. And I'll go through step by step what that's going to look like. So first of all, the regional outreach manager and the district staff are going to work together to monitor progress, with the primary responsibility falling on the regional outreach manager. At the very beginning, the regional outreach manager in the district will provide the prime consultant and the certified firm an overview of all the requirements during the scope meeting. We are asking now for an initial development goal report to be submitted before the contract is signed, and it will be included as part of the contract documents. And together, the outreach manager and district staff will review the fee proposal with the description on the initial plan. So now I'm going to go through some screenshots of what that initial plan looks like. It's called an initial mentoring plan. We're on the first page asking for the DBE Edge scope of work on the project. We are also asking, have you worked with the sub previously? Have you developed the company on a past project? And if so, what was the project ID and a summary of the accomplishments? This is just one way to get all the information together in one spot so that we have a good idea of where you guys are starting. We are also asking if you're currently teaming with the certified firm on other projects, and if so, who is the project owner and will this work aid in pre-qualification attainment? So like I said, just some background information so that we know kind of where the two firms' relationship already is and what their starting point is. The second page is where we're asking for the anticipated utilization of development funds broken down by the prime consultant and the sub-consultant. Are you using it for business development trainings, assistant with pre-qualification application, computer software, other? This is just a roundabout number. We're not going to hold you to the cent, but it helps you think out how you're going to deliver this plan. As I mentioned, sometimes we do get special requests to utilize the money. Now, this cannot always be honored, but we will take it into consideration. And you do need to make any of those special requests for utilization of the funding outside of just using it for your time spent training and mentoring, with the justification in this initial plan. And you would include that right here on page 2. For page 3, we have broken it down to all 3 criteria. We want to know the activity and the time frame. The time frame can be general. We don't need to know the exact day up front, but the month or the quarter, just a way to help us ensure that you all are staying on track with meeting your goals. Additionally, if a kickoff meeting is planned between the prime and sub, then we ask that an invitation or meeting minutes be shared with the outreach manager. And quarterly reporting will be required from the start of the project, which includes both past activities and planned activities for the next quarter. And we have designed a standard template for everyone to use. And this reporting is going to be done on a set schedule starting January 10th, and then every 3 months from there. So April, July, and October 10th, the reports would be due, and those will be sent to the outreach manager and the project manager. I'm going to go through what that quarterly report looks like now. First of all, what is the billing period? And then the total invoice during the billing cycle, the total invoice for the project, and any non-salary direct cost. Typically, you should have 0 here, but if you do have any, you do need to explain what that might be. Then we're asking the mentoring since last, this will be updated to say report. I couldn't update it on the screen because it was a screenshot, but mentoring progress since the last report. what happened, what are the activities for long-term development, what are the activities for, the second category, the third category, and so on. And then if there was anything outside of those that occurred, just let us know and explain that. On the second page, we're also asking for anticipated development activities within the next quarter. And then we're asking if there are any concerns or issues at this time. Are there any outstanding invoices not paid to the certified firm? If so, when will they be paid and what's the reason for the delay? And then on page 3, we want to know if the DBE Edge firm has reviewed the document and any comments from the DBE or Edge firm on the development goal progress or the program, because we do want to continuously receive feedback on the program so that in the future, if changes need to be made, we'll already have some data there. We did not create a separate document for the final report. It is included on the quarterly so that it's easy to find. So if it is your very last report, which means the money has been spent and the mentoring has concluded, then we'd like for you to check yes here and provide a summary of accomplishments, just very brief, because we will be doing a formal interview after that I'll talk about in a minute, but it's just some items of accomplishment. And then for each report, we do want the prime consultant and the DBE or Edge consultant to sign off on that, just so that we know that everyone's on the same page. So in those quarterly reports or at any time during the project, if there are questions or issues that are brought up, the outreach manager will meet with both the prime and the sub to talk through those and see if there's any way that we can help or assist. And then during each stage submission, the district project managers are already reviewing the prime's work, but we're asking our project managers to look a little bit more closely at the work of the sub, and then alert us if there are any comments or red flags so that we can work together with the district, the sub, and the prime and ensure that improvements are made and that the project is successful. After the tracing submission, the outreach manager will meet with the DBE or Edge firm and the prime for a final development report review. This is going to be almost like an interview, but we do want to note that this review is not connected to the CES score and it will take place separately. This is more of a data gathering interview. We are creating a template document, but some of the questions will be standard and some will be customized based on the goals. How did the project go? Did you meet these objectives? What do you feel like you still need to work on? Things like that are what will be asked. The outreach manager will file all the quarterly reports and the final report in a centralized drive. And we're also working on a solution for long-term tracking of success by firm. So instead of looking at this on a project by project basis, looking at the companies and seeing, they've been on 4 development goal projects. What kind of progress have they made? Do we see that they're getting more work as a sub? Have they gotten their first project as a prime? We're trying to come up with a mechanism so that we can gather things that way as well. All right, so those were the main updates. It is now time for questions, if anyone has any.
Yes, we have a question from Barry.
Okay.
Who says, for construction inspection, do we complete the developmental goals in the same way as all the others?
So we have only had a few projects that are construction inspection that have had a development goal. And the problem that we ran into is that those funds were primarily being used to train an inspector, and ultimately training an inspector is not the goal of the program. It is to develop the firm. So until we get a better handle on how that could work, we are not looking at construction inspection task orders for development goals. And if you think about it, I can give you some reasoning behind that, because when you train an inspector, that inspector has the ability to go work, anywhere, and we're not leaving the firm with the knowledge that they need to grow. So you only get $15,000, and I think it costs more than that to train an inspector as well. So that's kind of our thought right now, but we're always open to feedback from the industry if you think otherwise.
All right, thanks, Julita. And the questions box is open. We'll give some time if anybody else would like to type in a question.
Yeah, and while you all are doing that, this is the contact for each outreach manager. We will be your primary contact for the development goal program. And I also wanted to just let everyone know here about our new monthly update from the Division of Opportunity, Diversity, and Inclusion. The first Wednesday of every month, we will be sending out almost like a newsletter, but it gives an update from each office in the division so that if there are any changes to the DBE program, any new events, you need to be on this listing in order to find out about them. So please go to our website. You can go to transportation.ohio.gov, or you can download the PowerPoint and click directly on the link. But if you go to our website and you type in outreach, it should take you there, and it's in the middle of the page. You can sign up for the different regions of the state where you want to hear about the announcements.
All right, we have a question from Matthew. He says, if a DBE firm is pre-qualified in most of the categories and is priming projects that are not set-asides, do they get extra points for being a DBE?
No. No, if you're talking about open market projects, there are no extra points for being a DBE. If you're talking about development goal projects, they may not be a good fit for the development goal program, and in which they may be scored lower because if there are no areas for them to improve, if they already are priming and they already know all the ODOT processes, there may not be as many areas in this program in which they would fit, but you could still, of course, use them on a regular project that has a goal to count toward that goal. But no additional points are awarded above the goal if there is a project that has a contract goal on it.
Okay, we have a question from Bill. He says, will we get a copy of this presentation after the event? So I want to mention that in the GoToWebinar panel, we've included a PDF copy of the presentation, and there will also be a follow-up email sent out to the participants. And Bill also says, we are complete rookies and have struggled to find out how to leverage our EDGE certification, so I am glad to hear that this is available.
Absolutely. You sound like a perfect candidate for the development goal program. One other thing I'll mention, Bill, is I don't know if you're aware, we do have a new website. It's a capability statement website where we're encouraging all of our certified DBE and EDGE firms who are interested in the development goal or just marketing their company to sign up. On there, you can upload your capability statement, put whatever pre-qualifications you have. If you have none, that's fine. But then also put a little narrative on the areas in which you want to be developed in. And we're trying to point all of our primes to that website so that hopefully they can reach new companies outside of, our annual matchmaker that we hold.
Okay, we have a follow-up question from Matthew, who previously asked about if a DBE firm is pre-qualified in most of the categories. He said, what if they currently don't have an ODOT project?
I would say don't have an ODOT project. You don't, like I said, you don't necessarily get extra points, but there are definitely some areas in which that they have room to learn. So remember the way the points are set up, and I don't know if I could go back. Let me go back really quickly. So they probably are going to have room to improve in their long-term development because they don't know the ODOT way. There is a high chance that they may not know certain softwares that they need to do business with ODOT. So there's another opportunity there. It may be that you don't have any room for improvement in this area, but remember, it's not just pre-qualifications, it's also ability to handle increasingly significant projects. And in that case, maybe they've only done LPA projects or they've never done any governmental contracts. There probably are ways that you can help them in that as well.
Okay, a question from Sean. He said, is fee allowed to be used to purchase ODOT software?
So at this time, it is not. However, you can put in a special request. I think one of the ways that it's looked at is if you're a DBE firm, you do have access to our supportive services program that can help you get reimbursed for software. But we really put this money aside because time is pretty invaluable. Time spent with a prime is pretty invaluable. So we really want the money utilized for that one-on-one time together, learning the different skills. I know a software license could cost $5,000 and that's a third of the money gone.
Thank you. We have a follow-up question from Bill. He says, can my outreach manager help me with the capabilities listing?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll go back to our contact information. We'll show you how to do that. If you don't have a capability statement, we can put you in contact with one of the centers that do that for free. You've got your procurement technical assistance centers, your PTACs. They help with all things government contracting for free. Small business development centers, minority business assistance centers are all out there, and they can help you one-on-one with designing a capability statement. We can't as much help you on designing it, but we can always take a look at it, review it for you, let you know if we think you should add something, and then of course show you how to navigate the website.
All right. Here's a question from David. Can the fee be used by the prime for administration of the program?
I might need you to clarify that a little bit, but the prime can use that fee for their time spent training you on whatever it's going to be, or the time that, let's say that you're meeting with their accounting person to learn how to do something, that time can be billed toward the development goal funds. Just if you're actually out there working on the project, you're performing a task on the project, that would be charged to project funds.
Okay, we don't have any additional questions at this time, but Jalita, can people email questions to you also?
But yeah, I'd be happy to take any emails that you have. You can also give me a call or reach out to the outreach manager in your region. And we're always here to help, even if it's closer to the programmatic and you're thinking about putting an LOI and some questions come up. We can help you then. We're here at any time, really.
All right. Well, thanks, Jalita, for presenting, and thanks everybody for your participation today.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.